There's a huge amount going on when it comes to politics. Anyway, the government, in response to the whole freebie gate scandal, is to tighten transparency rules for ministerial hospitality. This, of course, after the whole row over freebies received by Labour ministers. They're trying to draw a line under this whole issue. They're trying to draw a line. Now, the information around declarations is currently published by departments, but less frequently and without a requirement to specify the value. So they're trying to tighten this up to try and prove to the public that they've got this all under control. Now, this also comes as Robert Jenrick on the Conservative side, he's been forced to defend receiving a £75,000 donation, despite criticising Labour in the freebies row. Is it the same thing, though? Is it the same thing? Well, joining me now to discuss this is political correspondent at the Financial Times, Anna Gross. Anna, thank you very much indeed. It's interesting, isn't it? The government are clearly trying to draw a line under freebie gate. They're trying to stop all the media speculation, all the bad press, all the bad headlines. They say they're going to shake up how and when ministers and MPs declare certain donations, gifts, freebies, etc. Is that the point, though? Is this about how and when these things are declared, or is it about something far bigger for the public?
Not at all. And I think there's actually a fair bit of confusion about what it is that Pat McFadden announced yesterday in terms of changing the rules. He's not saying that he's going to change the rules for MPs for things like what Keir Starmer received or Rachel Reeves received, the Chancellor, or Angela Rayner. In fact, it's kind of a dead cat that's being thrown, and because I think there's a bit of confusion, some media operations are sort of lapping it up. What he's actually saying is trying to attack the Tories and saying, while people like Starmer and Reeves and Rayner had to declare gifts that they received and hospitality that they received, the Tories never had to, because ministers don't have to abide by the same rules in their MPs register. They have to register hospitality and gifts and things in another place. So the reality is he's not actually saying anything. He's going to clean up the act of MPs. He's just saying we're going to try and bring it in so that ministers can't get away with this.
Right, OK, so that's quite different from the way it's been presented, as this is the way to sort of draw a line under all of this freebie gate, and this is a way to make sure that ministers and MPs are declaring absolutely everything at exactly the right time, in exactly the right way, so no one needs to worry about it. I mean, how damaging has this whole scandal been for Keir Starmer? I mean, I've seen his favourability ratings. They've been tanking, plummeting over this, and he continues to refuse to apologise. It seems to me, and I think it seems to an awful lot of the public, that he thinks he hasn't done anything wrong at all.
I think it is really damaging, and I think it's one of those rare things in politics that does seem to have quite a lot of cut through to the public. It's something that the public can really get their head around. They're sitting there and they're thinking, hang on a sec, why are MPs, why is the future Prime Minister on his salary getting free suits? And now this is £32,000 worth of suits of clothes. That's a hell of a lot of money when we are going through cost of living crisis or struggling to pay for things and we have to pay for it ourselves. I think it is damaging. I think it's particularly damaging because Starmer's kind of built this reputation ahead of the election of being squeaky clean, of saying, you know, we're going to clean up politics, we're not going to be having the same kind of cronyism battles. And actually, when this came to light, it undermines that, and also it undermines that image that he hasn't sort of gotten ahead of it right at the beginning and saying, look, there's a bit of a mistake, we're not going to do that again. Instead, it's sort of dragged out, coming out in drips and drabs, and it's just, I think it has been really quite damaging.
Yeah, I think it's been quite badly handled, but also reading that Rachel Reeves may be targeting pensions come the budget. There's quite a lot of fear that it will be pensions that are raided when it comes to extra taxes. What have you heard on that front?
I think it's definitely an option that's on the table, and it's something that her team have looked at. I don't think it's quite clear yet whether that is going to be what's selected. I think the other area is that's very likely to be targeted at this point. There's a huge amount of speculation is capital gains tax, bring that more in line with income tax. But yeah, there are a raft of things on the table, and she's obviously hemmed herself in. She's not able to increase income tax or national insurance contributions, and so she's looking for other places where she can raise that capital.
I do wonder, there's just been far too much time, a lot of people would say, so much time before the budget for all of this speculation. I mean, we've seen the headlines, consumer confidence down, business confidence down, simply because there's been so much speculation over which taxes might rise. People are worried about their assets being taxed more. People are worried now about their pensions and the like. And of course, you've got the pensioners with their winter fuel payments. We know that for sure. But so much else has been left so murky for so long. And what are you hearing in terms of the impact on the economy and the impact on business?
Well, I think it has led, it is a dampener on companies being able to invest and make long-term decisions, because they are waiting just a little bit longer before they make some of those decisions. And from a political point of view, I think the historians will look back at this time and say it was a real error, leaving this huge gap. Well, huge for the start of a government, a very significant gap between coming into power on the 4th of July and a budget, the first budget on October 30th, because it's just meant that there's so much sort of time for people to be speculating about what's going on, and so much time where departments, ministers, policymakers can't move forward with really important reforms on things like the NHS, on things like education. And in that period, people are filling in the blanks, and they're latching onto stories like this one about cronyism and about freebies and things, because there is a void, there is an absence of other things going on.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think they might regret leaving so much time between being elected back in July and then the budget in October. That's a hell of a long time for people to speculate over which taxes might go up and where spending might be cut or increased and the like. But thank you very much indeed, Anna Gross, political correspondent at the Financial Times. She's there in Birmingham at the Conservative Party conference. Well, because our very own Christopher Hope, political editor, is interviewing with a bit of a Q&A format for members and people who are attending the conference to get to know some of the leadership hopefuls. He's first off with Tom Tugendhat. Should we drop in and have a little look?
It's great fun. Look, this is, if you're somebody who likes conservative ideas, if you like the Conservative family, if you're a Conservative, you're cool. This is fun. I know it's an odd thing to say, but I enjoy conference. I get to meet old friends and make new ones, and that's great.
And why do you want to be Tory leader? What was the moment when you were looking in the mirror having a shave and thought, hang on, he could run the country?
Well, look, for me, my entire life has been about public service. I mean, just as you've been somebody who's asked questions, I've been somebody who tries to answer them. I've spent 25 years serving our country in different ways. I've served on operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, as you know, and I've fought our country's battles quite literally personally. I've been in Parliament, standing up against the dictators and tyrants that at the time some people thought were friends, but we now know to be exactly who they are, Putin and Xi and the Ayatollah. Call them all out. It got me sanctioned, as you know, for the privilege, but I think it's important. Well, I'm sanctioned by Russia, I'm sanctioned by China, I'm sanctioned by Iran, I'm working on North Korea, I'm working on Venezuela.
Okay.
And then, of course, I was in cabinet. I was in charge of our security, and you'll understand there's a lot I'm not going to tell you about that.
Yes, I'll ask you.
You're welcome to ask, but I promised to keep the King's secrets, and I will. During that job, I was responsible for a huge number of elements that I'm really sorry I can't talk about, but I can give you some proof points. And that's, while I was security minister in those 2 years, we arrested and charged more Russian and Chinese agents than in the previous decade. Mm-hmm. Conservative leadership matters.
Okay. You've got a young family. Do they mind what you're up to, what Dad's up to? You keep trying to be the leader of the Tory party. You tried in 2022. You're trying again.
Well, they mind the fact that I'm not at home, and my boy loves sword fighting, and he minds the fact that I'm not currently having a sword fight with him, with his swords. But and my daughter minds the fact that I'm not always at her ballet recital. I know this is something we share,
yes.
Is the fact that our daughters are both very, very keen ballerinas. Yours rather more professionally than mine. Don't tell her I said that, please. But my daughter is only 7, so I think she can.
Okay.
But of course they mind. But I'm very proud of them, and they're extremely supportive of me. And my wife is unbelievably generous in letting me come away for days like this and taking on the responsibility.
You mentioned your service. Obviously, congratulations on your service. 2003, 2013, in the British Army, Lieutenant Colonel. When you stopped doing that work, you served in Iraq and Afghanistan. What did you learn from that service about being a leader, about being maybe even Prime Minister?
Well, look, many people learned a lot of things in Westminster, and their experiences, of course, important. I learned what I know about leadership in combat in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I learnt it by working with one of the most impressive people I've ever had the privilege to serve, and that's General the Lord Richards, who was, at the time, he was Chief of the Defence Staff. I was his military assistant. We had the responsibility, or he had the responsibility, I had the responsibility of supporting him, of making sure that our operations around the world were delivering in order to protect the British people. And, that sense of service, that sense of duty, that sense of protecting Britain from all threats is something that is absolutely at the core of who I am, because you've got to decide who you are and whose side you're on, and I have always been on the side of the British people. I've never wavered in my absolute commitment to keeping our country safe and keeping our people safe.
Okay. And just a quick question, were you a spy?
I was a uniformed intelligence officer.
Okay, because the internet says things about you.
The internet says many things.
You backed Liz Truss in 2022 to be leader. You regret that?
Look, I stood because I thought that I had the best answers to the challenges that we faced at the time, and I liked when I was knocked out, sadly, before you guys got a chance to vote, but there we go. I got the choice between two people, and one of them was talking about growth, and many of us were inspired by that message. I think we were disappointed by the failure to deliver.
Okay. And you're loyal? There's rumours that you were trying to be leader last year.
No.
No, you weren't doing any fundraising or any work behind the scenes. You're loyal to the leader. And
I have been absolutely clear that when I'm in a government, I serve that government.
If you don't get this time, you'll be as loyal as you have been in the past in the future. Okay. What's your conservatism? Are you centre-left in this party? Are you a wet, to use that Thatcherite term?
Chris, this is one of those questions that really comes up using the language of the socialists that's used to divide us. They keep trying to describe us. They keep trying to describe your channel.
OK, well, there we are. Our very own Christopher Hope there at the Conservative Party conference, interviewing Tory leadership hopeful Tom Tugendhat.